call to order. Springfield gets up here. The October 7th, 2021 meeting, administrative meeting, excuse me, of the Houston County Commission. Glad you all are here and made it into October. Happy Halloween month. I want to remind you right off the bat not to be showing up here on Monday. If you do, you'll be in here. Well, actually, you won't be in here all by yourself because you won't be able to get in the building. Monday is a holiday. It is Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day. So the state takes that holiday and county and federal government, so everything will be closed. We will meet Tuesday at this same time and invite you all to be here if you'd like. Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I want to let everyone know that we the county, EMA, are going to begin Audible Siren tests again. And we've gotten some repairs done. We're going to begin that. We're going to be doing that every other month on the second Wednesday. The first time will be this coming Wednesday at noon. We test those sirens silently every Monday. Obviously, since they're silent, you don't hear them, but they give us electronic feedback and we know whether they are working or not. But we're going to start audibly testing them every other month. It'll be on the second Wednesday at noon, and I'm sure between EMA and we'll announce this on Tuesday, obviously, but between EMA and the commission office and media, we will get the notice out to remind everybody every other month. As you know, if there's weather in the area, then we don't test them, but typically it'll be at noon on the second Monday. Other announcements from anyone? Commissioner Shoup.
I have a couple. I think I first want to wish Representative Foley a happy birthday. Today is his birthday. We are fortunate to have him on the local legislative delegation. We work extremely well together. He does a great job for Houston County and the entire state of Alabama. So happy birthday to him. And then lastly, good luck to all the area queens that are going to be participating in the Peanut Festival pageant this weekend. My little girl has, my wife is out of town on a women's trip, but my little girl has sweet talked my mom has taken her to the beauty pageant. That way I don't have to go. But, so she's excited about that. And anyway, I know all the little ladies are looking forward to that. So I wish them luck.
That is a lot of fun. All of you that have girls that are in the pageanting business know all about the fun and expense involved in that. So, it is a serious thing. You have an announcement?
Thank you, Chairman. I certainly would like to invite, and we will love to see everybody come out to the Cudmore race to be at the Peanut Festival starting at 10 o'clock this coming Saturday. The weather looks good, so it's always fun, and the kids love it. So bring your hot rod and come with us.
Yeah, a lot of things going on related to the Peanut Festival the rest of this month. And then, as you all hopefully know, the festival will go on this year and will start, I think, the first Friday and on the date, the first Friday in the fair will start the first Friday in November. And the parade will be the second Saturday in November. So I encourage you to take part in that and get out and enjoy the fair after a year absence. Any other announcements? All right, then we will move right into the agenda. The first item for you to consider is a proclamation under awards and presentations for Farm City Week. You all know we do this every year. It's done across the nation. We do an excellent job with it here in Houston County. Have a committee that oversees it. Glenn Malloy and Gloria Jeffcoat, who've been doing it for I don't know how many years, will be here, and we'll present them the proclamation and they will tell us all about it, assuming you all will allow us to put that on the agenda. Any objections? All right. Item number 1 on the regular agenda is a request to award the revised ACCA joint county bid for concrete pipe. Any questions regarding that? As you all are aware, we are the awarding authority, at least for the time being, of the statewide county joint bid. This is concrete pipe. They had another item they sent after our deadline Wednesday, and I refused to put it on here because they sent it after our deadline. And told them they sent it after our deadline. It'll be on our next meeting agenda. Excuse me. But this is, they used to do all this at one time, and they got it now, so they spread it out. But this is for concrete pipe. Any questions or comments from anyone or objections to adding this to the agenda?
Just one question.
Okay,
So this is a revised bid because the vendor is no longer able to meet the
I
cost
believe
of the price they gave the counties.
that is my understanding, correct? That's your understanding, Jack?
Sir.
That's your understanding?
I guess this is just trying to handle these inflation. They're no longer able to meet the terms of the contract because they
Right,
the price.
exactly, the other vendor could not.
It said they could not adhere to all the terms outlined. I don't know if that's price, delivery, what, but they couldn't meet the contract. Any other questions or comments? Any objections to adding that to the agenda? Okay. Item number 2 is a request from the Personnel Board to concur in the 2022 county holiday schedule. The Personnel Board has met on this a couple of times actually and has approved this. It is actually their call, but they asked us to concur in the schedule. As you all know, we take pretty much all state holidays, and when there's a weekend, we adjust. Having 8, 10, and 12-hour employees, we have to adjust our schedule around a little bit so that everybody ends up with the same number of holiday hours. But this has been worked on, and this is submitted to you for your approval. I will say there is an additional federal holiday that is not on here, that has not been designated by the state. Should that be designated, then we would come before you to concur in that one, to not approve anything, because again, this is the Personnel Board's matter, but they do ask that we concur. So any questions regarding this or comments? Okay, thank you, Sherry, for your especially hard work this year on that. Any objections to adding that to the agenda? All right, item number 3 is a request to approve necessary appraisal work for the Trails Grant application and authorize chairman to take action necessary with approved appraisers and authorized documents. Kim Meeker, as you all are aware, is operating without a contract. We got to fix that on our Trails program, and has been, along with Commissioner Shoup and others of you and staff, on getting our trail site location ready to submit the grant. We've got to have several things. We've got to have an appraisal and an appraiser to make sure the appraisal is done right. Don't ask. We've got to have a survey and some environmental work done. Those things are on the agenda today or on the admin agenda to move forward so that we can get ourselves prepared to submit the grant. We don't know the reason it's stated like this for the appraisal work. We don't know who the appraiser will be. They have to be approved by the state government, I believe.
Yes.
And so they are appraisers to be determined. So what we want to do, rather than waiting to come back before you or not knowing exactly when that time occurs, is we'll ask you to approve the appraisal work and then just authorize chairman to enter into whatever agreements we need and approve the documents. Did I say all that right, Kim? You want to make any comments?
Oh, you did beautiful. It's like we talked.
Thank you. Anyone, commissioners want to make any comments? Commissioner Shute?
Couple of comments. First, thanks Kim for all your hard work in this project. This is, as I told you, and thanks to others before the meeting, it's, we've been working on this a while. And it's nice to actually have something to vote on to move forward. So anyway, thanks to you. Also wanted to say thank you to Barbara Hoffman. Were it not for her and a trip that several of us took, I guess it's a couple of years ago now, we wouldn't be here talking about this. But I do want to clear up a couple of misconceptions that may be floating out there. First of all, this is not going to be an overnight deal. Even this leg that we're working on is probably going to take years. I mean, I hate to be that way. I hate to say that, and I hope maybe one day we'll get to where that's not the case. But that's just kind of the way these things work. So it's not going to be done overnight. I was excited to read in the newspaper that the city of Dothan is working on downtown Dothan to ACOM trail, and this is going to be from ACOM. This particular leg that we're talking about now is going to be from ACOM to Cowers. Now, we all know that we've discussed this, and eventually this will go from Cowers all the way to Ashland. And that would be the first leg of what we hope to be a countywide trail system. So we'll see how things go. But I was encouraged to hear the news that people on the west side of Dothan are asking for similar trail system up there. So I think this is a great thing. One thing I do want to say is that no eminent domain is going to be used in the construction of this trail. So that has been brought up to me a couple of times. I'll let weird rumors like this get started. I'm not condemning anybody's property for this trail. So I just want to make sure that's clear. But anyway, great job. I'm excited. Thank you, Jim.
Other comments, questions, concerns? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think I have to tell y'all who I am, but to follow procedures, I'm gonna tell you I am where I live. My name is George Trotter, reside at 4218 County Road 203, Dothan, Alabama. I don't hear very well, and I apologize for that. I don't read the paper a whole lot or look at our local news because, to be frank, there's not much in it relative to real good news. But briefly explain to me, so maybe the public know a little more about it than what I can understand right here. What is this trails thing about? It says grant. Is this totally paid for surveys and the whole 9 yards and where these trails are going to go? Or is that paid through some grants that we've received? And or is it going to be continued to be maintained and paid for down the road? Or is the county commission going to be picking up part of this tab or a big part of this tab, any of this tab? Now, I know I can't ask questions, okay? But I'm making this statement, so hopefully you will come back in a future meeting and maybe answer these. And this is one of the problems that the citizens out here across the county, and now y'all know I represent an initiative called We the People, citizens of Houston County, stewards of good government. And we'd like to be able to have, dialogue, be able to talk to y'all with these types of questions and issues coming up, but it's very vague on that agenda, trails and surveys. It has grant on there. Can you explain a little bit more, or will you come back the next meeting and hopefully Monday and explain that to us? So the media, we do have media here. Thank God. We have, Mr. Stokes News here, and I think WHM back here. That's great. I'm proud to see him here, but would you please do that so the citizens out here across this county will know what's going on when they see something like this on the agenda? Because guess what? How many citizens do we have here? And that's what We the People have been about for the last 4 years, is trying to entice and educate the public to attend and participate in our constitutional public form of government, other people, by the people, for the people. So would you please do that, sir?
Okay. Fair equal representation, the Dothan Eagle behind you too. Just
I'm sorry?
I said the Dothan
Eagle made it in? Okay.
They're right behind you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
And you confuse privileges of the floor with agenda items. Agenda items we can discuss. Privileges of the floor is when you just make comments.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's coming up later, right?
Go ahead. This is a project that we have started, maybe a year ago now, I guess. And in our due diligence and beginning of this project, it was determined that there were potential grants out there through the state and MPO that we might be able to get to pay for most of this. There certainly will be some county funds involved, and I think this commission has deemed this a worthwhile project to expend county funds on. However, we do hope to be able to get a grant that we have looked at. Mr. Meeker, who we have contracted and will continue to contract with at some point to continue to oversee this project for us, is well aware of some grants and is working with the city. And but in order to submit for those grants, we've got to do the things that we are doing today on the agenda. You got to have the survey and the environmental and these appraisals. So that's what we're doing today so that we can submit for the grant and hopefully get this project moving. As Commissioner Shute said, this is a long-term, slow process, but one that the quality of life of our citizens and our future citizens, we feel we have deemed one that is worthwhile. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Comments?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Trotter, for coming up and making your comment about the trail. I know it's moving in the eastern direction, which is in my district, from Macomb all the way through down to town of Calvert. And there are steps that we have to take to verify everything that's done right and legally and by the state and by Mr. Meeker doing the things that he's been doing to keep us informed. And so I appreciate your concern and the public's concern as to where this is going, what this is going to cost, how much it's going to involve the county. So we need to make sure that in this process that we let the public know what's going on and what we're doing, and not come in and say something now and then have to change it later. So those are things that I appreciate the commission making sure that all of this is out to the public for people to know exactly where we're going with this and what it's going to cost, and certainly have the possibility of grant, which is going to help tremendously to fund this project. And Mr. Meeker is making sure that all that's done. So anyway, I just want to make mention that Mr. Trotter got a good point about what we need to do.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your
Aware
comment.
of it. And just as a side note, we will do this process. I think there are public hearings that are required for the grant. So we will actually be having public hearings at some point in the process. All right, any other comments or questions or objections to adding this item number 3 to the agenda? All right, item number 4, request to approve survey and environmental work for trail grant application. You have a proposal in your package from North Star to do the boundary survey of the property that has all been identified at this point. Thank goodness, that was no small task. And then there was some environmental work checklist and whatnot that was identified at the same time that also needs to be done. Kim, you want to comment on this, or Mr. Santori, either one of you want to comment on either one of these? Y'all want to call this?
This is.
You got to come to the microphone. If you don't comment.
This part is primarily under the engineering firm of North Star. But on all the grants, there are environmental hoops that you have to jump through. And they have a very clear idea of what it's primarily protectionary to be sure that everybody's interests are served. There's cultural resources that have to be preserved. But I'll leave this now with North Star to explain it way better than I can.
Did you know he was going to leave it with you?
I guessed it. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for what you do. I am Philip Santor, North Star Engineering, and we have presented you with a proposal to do surveying. That's about 1.98 acres, 1.98 miles of surveying. And Mr. Meeker and your commission has already gone and met with the clients that will be giving or selling this property. So we now have the right to get on that and to do the survey. So we're requesting that that be approved. In conjunction with that, trying to make sure that we follow and do everything according to the requirements of hopefully the grants. The environmental study also needs to be done. and do an environmental study, you're thinking, as Mr. Meeker mentioned, you have to think about cultural resource, you have to think about certain time animals, those kind of things, the Corps of Engineers. So we'll be going through that process, getting those approvals so that you'll know that that's all been done ahead of time before you actually submit for your grant.
Gotcha. And it's worth what we pay you to have to deal with those people instead of us. So, any questions regarding this item?
I have one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Santorum, I was wondering if we move forward with this project in the trail, keeping the people informed, the public informed is, it may have to come from the commission. And on our website, if there's some way we can put this trail showing where it's going, is that premature, or do we need to wait till we finalize a lot of the process that has to be completed? Just for the public's information.
I would be willing to provide you with whatever you need to put on your website. I would allow it to be your decision at what point that needs to be done.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, and we actually have a drawing and some sketches like that. So if you let me know that you need that and want to do that, then we'll definitely provide that to you, and it should be used.
All right, thanks. Any other questions or comments regarding item number 4?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a comment, please.
All right, come on up.
I know, Mr. Chairman, you don't like to see me come up here, but I'm hoping my question is legitimate. You had mentioned something which really hit home with me in your comments a little bit earlier about public hearing relative to this trail. Can you tell us a little bit about why are we not getting the cart ahead of the horse? Would we not have public hearings relative to this to see what the public thinks about it? I'm all about trails and all about these great things, but I'm also all about our citizens understanding exactly what we're spending money for and prioritizing our needs rather than our wishes. And another question is, and these folks out here with their companies and their individual engineering firms and Mr. Meeker, and they're great people, obviously. Are they doing what they're doing right now and talking about these surveys and talking about all this other data that we're getting to get to a point where we're going to have a public hearing? Are they doing this free gratis? Or who's paying for that? That's the question.
Thank you. Yes, we're paying them for a service that we are obtaining, just as we do all the services we pay in the county. And we will have public hearings at the appropriate time. There is a process for these grants that you do. We have to approve these things before we get to that step. There's these grants and these processes are set up. There are guidelines and requirements of how you do it. We're going right by those guidelines. So. All right, other questions or comments?
Just one quick
Yes, sir,
comment.
Mr. Shute.
I know that there's gonna be a lot of interest in this, so I do like, Commissioner Singleton, I want to get a map out there as soon as possible and have these public hearings. We actually talked about whether we should have these public hearings in conjunction with this, and, we sort of reached the decision that it's best to do it this way. Right now, we have properties that get us from A to B, but that doesn't mean we know exactly where this trail is going to be right now. So that's why we have to do the survey work, make sure there's not something we have to go around. And that's one thing. So it would be premature probably to have that. And what I would hate to do is, because what happens, we put something out there and then it gets all this attention, we have to say, okay, we have to change that. And then people will be looking at us, y'all said the trail was this way, and now it's going that way. So all this stuff will be discussed at the appropriate time. I look forward to that.
Called transparency, sir. Transparency.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
That's,
We're gonna wrap this
that's what I was asking the question to, Senator about the trail, putting it out for the public to see. Surely they're going. We can pretty much have to define where that trail is going, but, that's why I want to bring that question to, the Senator, if it's approved by the commission, well, we can do that.
All right, we'll get that done at the appropriate time. Other questions, comments? Okay, anybody object to adding this to the agenda? Thanks very much. Item number 5 is appointments to the Southeast Alabama Healthcare Authority. You each have in your packet a letter from the chairman of the board of the Healthcare Authority with the, as is the process with 3 names in each district, of which typically one name is selected to be appointed on Tuesday. Is there any discussion or questions or comments regarding this? You're approaching the podium like you want to say something.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, first, any from the commission, any comments, questions? All right, carry on.
This is probably the most important decision y'all make as the commission and have zero control of. You're not allowed in the meetings. You're not allowed minutes of the meetings. The publics are not allowed minutes of the meetings and to attend the meetings. But there's 13 hospital board members. 1 is appointed by the medical board. 12 are appointed by you gentlemen. Except you don't guess you get appointed, but y'all get to appoint the rest of them. I was not aware, I got to correct my listening devices up here because I was not aware this was on the agenda until I read it last night in the email. That, and I don't know any of the names, don't know anybody that's been submitted. But we're at one of the most crisis stages that we've ever been in the United States of America with healthcare. There are patients leaving this town every day going to other hospitals because of problem with some specialists here and stuff like that. The hospital tries to control who's on that board. We, the citizens, have to hold y'all accountable for what happens at the hospital because we have no information from the hospital. Y'all have no information from the hospital or anything of that nature. This is your appointment, what and where you didn't count. Your appointment and your appointment. And everybody in Houston County and the Wiregrass area will have to hold you responsible for what happens at the hospital because they have no control. They can't go in. Raise your hand if you're able to get in to see the CEO of the hospital. Most of you can't even get in to see the CEO of the hospital. But this is your appointment. So I hope there's been a lot of prayer and consideration. I hope that there's not following a dictation from the hospital board about who they want appointed to this board, because this is each one of your individual appointments. Contrary to what they try to say and try to dictate out there, that they want to cherry pick who they want, y'all are responsible to the people. And the people have to rely on y'all, because as I understand it, that hospital board could sell that hospital and they don't even have to ask y'all if they could sell it. So you get to have somebody you're trustworthy of because the people elected you to be responsible. And it's bad that you select 12 people to run the place, but then you're never privy to any information whatsoever. And years ago, if it hadn't been for Archie Woodham on the hospital board, a problem would not have been straightened out. So this is a very important appointment. Again, I don't know any of the names submitted. I don't know what all's going on, but I just want y'all to have a lot of prayer for consideration. And it's probably gonna take some backbone to stand up if you don't pick who they want to pick. But that's your appointments to protect the people of this county and the health care. And I listen to probably more emergency calls than anybody, and I give a lot of thanks to Dr. Fred Pitt, because my grandson would be here today if it hadn't been for Fred Pitt. It's important who they have out there. And I knew Dr. Pitt, I knew he was on survival flight, but when we get to Birmingham, I didn't know he was treating my grandson. But we have to have very important people in place. And this is y'all's appointment to make, not somebody to tell you whose appointment, because we look for y'all for those answers. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes,
All right, go ahead.
Ricky, thank you for that, because that is just, you're on point with that. It is our appointment. We should be able to appoint who we feel is best for that appointment. The citizens do look to us, the constituents in our district look to us for who it is that we're going to put on that board, or something else going right at that hospital, or things not happening. We get a lot of questions. I know I do. I can't answer for the rest of the commission, but I get a lot of questions. And I think it's important. It's the largest employer we have in this area. There's 2,500 employees, I think that they said, at Southeast Health. It's the largest employer that we have, and it's the most important appointment that we will make as a commission, and I will make as District 3 Commissioner. And I have submitted a name to the board that I wanted on there. And with that being said, that name is not on this list right here. And, I would also like to see, instead of it being voted on as a whole, I'd like to see it voted on in each district, and we consider that for who's voted on. Because it's not right if I don't want one that's appointed for the rest of everybody else to say that, hey, that's the one that I'm going to appoint. I need to be able to appoint who I need to appoint, because I answer to the citizens of this county and of my district. So, I really appreciate your words and what you said, because you're right. That's what it's about. It's about patient care and taking care of our community. And that ought to be first and foremost, is patient care. And I know there's some issues and there's some things going on. I've talked with several, and I've talked with my board members, to include the chairman, Chester Saul, that sent this letter. And his same on go the same. He knew that I didn't want to appoint the one that was appointed several weeks ago. And I said that this is what I would like to do and for it to go back. And on September 28th, they went back and had a meeting and said that they would go back and consider putting that name on there. And then I get a list back that has the same names, and they recommend the one on here that they're recommending. But that's my appointment. I should be able to make that appointment. The citizens look to us whenever something's not going right. I get constant calls from people saying, hey, what is going on? Why's patient care not happening? Why are doctors leaving? Why are nurses leaving? Why are things like that? I get that. That's theirs to deal with and what to do. But I ought to be getting information back. I ought to be able to know what's going on, so I can let the citizens out here know what's going on. But that hospital is the most important business facility in this county. And I think it's very important that we have the utmost say on who it is that we appoint, that we should be who that we want to appoint to that board. And I can understand, you got Flowers Hospital, you got Southeast Health, and absolutely, you don't want to appoint somebody over at Flowers Hospital that's on that board or has more interest in Flowers Hospital or on Southeast Health Board, and vice versa, you don't want to do that at Flowers Hospital. But neither one of them hospitals, and I've asked questions to both places, neither one of them can tell me they can operate without each other. So we've got to look out for the best interest of our community and what's best for us. Public safety, patient care, taking care of people, that's what it's about. So I appreciate your comments, and I agree fully that, that we need to have a different system than what we're doing, but, I would love to see it to where each district is put on here instead of it doing all of the whole, to where each one has the ability to appoint who they want to. I would never go against my other commissioners with their appointment they're responsible for, and I would hope they would do that.
Any other comments regarding this?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment, please.
All right.
Again, I wasn't aware of this until I saw it on the agenda. Again, probably the most important thing I've heard y'all discuss in 4 years I've been coming to these meetings, not just this past year. Most important thing. And thank you, Mr. Stokes, for bringing this out, because I'm telling you folks, we the people, me being across this county and all, there's questions asked about what y'all just answered that nobody seemed to know. And thank you, Mr. Harry, believe it or not, thank you for making those comments about, and please clarify this. I know I'm not supposed to ask you a question, but please clarify this. You as being a commissioner and being able to appoint a member of this board, all you can do is appoint a member to be put in a pool for them to choose from. Is that correct?
No.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Not, I'm here, I'm seeing this and I'm seeing
He
this.
doesn't appoint for them to choose. I'll explain the process when everybody gets through. I'm gonna explain the process.
All right, so, but extremely important, and thank you for bringing this to the public's attention.
Any other comments? All right,
Can I?
Well, you can't make any motions.
No.
No.
Can I ask that we put it on there for the individual?
Yeah, I mean, unless, okay, let me just make some comments.
Go ahead.
All right, first of all, this is the most important appointment y'all make. It's not even close every year, and no, I don't get, the chairman does not get an appointment. The way this is set up, we've been doing this, I've been doing this for a long time, and we do this every 2 years, so it hadn't been 4 years. We do this every 2 years. The appointments come up. They're 6-year terms. Each commissioner has 3 appointments on that board. So in other words, each commissioner has 3 members, and it rolls over every 6 years. So that's 12 members, and then the one, as Mr. Stokes said, the hospital, the medical board appointments. That hospital is a Hospital Authorities Act board, so They operate a little different. They're not, everybody says it's the county hospital, it's not the county hospital. We don't have anything to do with the operation of that facility other than this commission does appoint the board. Their articles of incorporation establish how that board is appointed. Now, I'm not telling you all this to say it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just telling you how the law or how the procedure is. The way it states is that the nominating committee of that board submits each commissioner 3 names. Commissioner is to select one of those 3 names. And that's the board member to serve for 6 years. Years ago, we set up a procedure where the nominating committee is supposed to get with the commissioner and discuss who those 3 names are. So that, and you know, we've all been through that, so that we don't have this discussion, hopefully, that we work together and the person that is a good person to do exactly what y'all are talking about, because that is, if not one of the most important employers and businesses we have in this community, operates properly, that we do have citizen through the commission input. So that meeting is supposed to take place, have some discussion, communication, collaboration. And thus, when we have the appointments, it typically happens like it has 98% of the time, where that one motion and everybody's appointed. Obviously, there has been an issue this time. We will handle it the best we can and get through this, but I just want everyone to understand that the process in their bylaws, which has the same status as law, they can't operate without, outside of their bylaws, is that they submit 3 names to each commissioner. The commissioner selects a name from those 3, and that's what we have here. I have no problem if the commission desires for each district's name to be a separate motion, if that's what you all want to do. That's entirely up to y'all. Y'all are all nodding yes, so we will do that. If it's okay with y'all, we're gonna leave it on here as one item, but we'll, start with District 1 and get a motion and pass it, get a motion and pass it right down the line on Tuesday, if you all are good with that. Did everybody understand that? I just wanted everybody to understand the process, what their bylaws, what the law basically says, and so we'll know what we're operating under. Commissioner Harvey, you got a comment?
Yeah. In the event that commission.
Speak into the mic, please, where we can hear you.
I'll come closer. In the event that the commissioner of that district and the nominating committee from the hospital do not come to terms, or they're not in agreement with that particular nominee, what happens then?
The current existing board member continues to serve until a replacement is appointed.
What does that mean?
That means the one that's in place, in whatever district, just stays as the board member until an appointment is made.
So what if there's no reconciliation on that particular appointment?
And that person just continues to serve on a month-to-month basis, I guess.
Wow.
Comment on it. Agree. I'm not going to argue back and forth.
Okay. Go ahead.
I would add.
Hold on, Commissioner Sheepcoat.
Okay.
I'll say this, and first of all, I know you're working hard, earning your salary today, but you do a great job.
I try to do that every day.
But I will say this, we've had this issue come up, and we've had this issue in the past, and I feel like in the past, when similar things have come up, I felt like this commission, at least individual commissioners, were strong-armed into making certain appointments. I feel like, we've worked past some of that stuff, but I'm not going to comment on individual names, but I'll say this. There's 4 names on this list that are recommended, and they are all incumbents. And I've addressed this with my board members. I like to see change. There has to be changeover. There has to be a training up of new people. There needs to be turnover. And so it really disappoints me to see all these incumbents being recommended as the appointment. And having said that, I intend to recommend the incumbent for me because we get along well. He does a great job and I've never had an issue with him. So there are some issues and they really need to be. And I'll just leave it at that.
Just so you'll know what he is talking about, on the list we get, it has 3 names, but it does have one name that says recommended beside it. That does not mean that this commission has to appoint that. The commission has every right and authority to appoint any one of these 3 names. So theoretically, all 4 board members could change on Tuesday.
Having said that, last time this occurred, upon making some calls, the people that were the alternative recommendations had no interest in serving on healthcare.
Well, that's, I don't mean to be flippant to them, to those other people, but that really is irrelevant. I mean, their name is on here, they can be appointed. So
Yeah, but then you don't have them
you're
put on
right.
serve,
That's
and that doesn't take care of the best interest of our community.
That is absolutely, I'm just,
That's just.
you understand, I'm trying to run a meeting by the procedure. I'm not getting into that.
I'm with you, Mr. Chairman, but there's a problem.
For the record, I have no idea who the names are.
And we're not gonna say that.
I'm not asking, I can find out if I wanted to, but anyway, I'm getting old, and I think that's a crimson shirt, so I don't remember everything actually correctly. But I believe years ago, for a person to be the chairman of the hospital board, a certain commissioner told the hospital group, this is my appointment. I will make that appointment. She happened to be a lady that stood up to the hospital board and said, this is my appointment, not yours. You don't tell me who to appoint. Now, with that said, I would urge y'all to begin talking to the legislative delegation about some changes in legislation to get this item fixed for the future.
Well, there's.
Okay, I know there's a lot of moving mechanisms,
I'll just say,
but,
okay, we'll move on.
but thank you.
All right, any other comment? All right, any objection to adding this to the agenda? Understanding it's one item, but also understanding we're gonna do 4 motions, 4 attempted motions, yes. All right, thank y'all. The next item on the agenda is a request to award bid for crushed limestone to lowest bidder meeting specs. This ain't gonna take us that long. Okay, questions for acting engineer? Any objections to adding this to the agenda? I have a pen more, right? I was taking all the ink out of my pen. All right, item number next is a request to sell the following items on Gov Deals from IT department: a 2005 Chevrolet Blazer and a 2007 Chevrolet HHR. Okay, funny looking thing. That's a moment. Any objections to adding that to the agenda? Any comments? All right, anything else from the commission to be added to the agenda? Or just general discussion? All right, we have one privileges of the floor. Privileges of the floor are made available. Y'all got me talking too long today. Privileges of the floor are made available to our citizens to make comments to the commission regarding issues related to the county. It's not a time for debate, questions, or discussion, but any items presented will be taken under consideration by the commission for future action if necessary. The speaker will have 5 minutes. Our privilege of the floor today is Mr. George Trotter, who y'all have already seen. Come on forward, Mr. Trotter, who wants to speak about safety and freedom of Houston County citizens. And I will say while you're coming, we are going to ask in the future, not just you, but anybody, we're going to put a little more detail on this. That when items are requested, I'm saying this more to that public thing right there, we need a little more detail on these than just, something quite this vague. We need to know details about what people are coming to talk to us about. This is, we just need more detail. So, but today, carry on.
Chairman, thank you. Commissioners, thank you. May I make a comment relative, Chairman, without alienating you in what you just said?
No, I would just.
Okay,
speak on
you prefer me not to,
privileges.
but I'm gonna tell you anyway, okay? You are censoring we as citizens from what you just said. Now, safety and freedom, that's what I hope to be able to discuss with y'all today, but according to your procedures, I can't discuss it. We can't have dialogue, okay? So that really sort of burdens me or any citizen able to get an understanding on where you're coming from and on what we're concerned about, and that is transparency of you as elected officials. So today, I've already talked more and used more time today than I dreamed of before I even get up here on this privilege before, and I appreciate you allowing me to do this today, okay? Safety and freedom. I want to just briefly talk about safety today, and I want to come back and talk about freedom, because these are two very, very important things that are confronting us, not only here in Houston County, but across the nation. I want to point out a few things in Houston County that maybe we're not aware of as y'all as individual commissioners, maybe even our road and bridge department, a lot of citizens out here that don't make it their business in their civic responsibility to be aware of unsafe or safety as they go about their lives. And I want to point out a few things that I'm retired, and I grew up on a farm, which all of you probably know or should know was one of the most hazardous occupations on the face of the earth. And my parents instilled in the 9 of us safety. And thank God we're here today without any major injuries and all. We've survived them 74 years of age. Safety is important. I go around and observe when I'm driving. I don't only observe what's in front of me, on the side of me, what's above me, behind me, and below me. Believe it or not, I'm conscious of that. And I think that's one reason, me being 74 years of age and have been driving since I was old enough to purchase and get a driver's license, I have never had a causable accident. And I thank the Lord every day for that. But the point I want to bring out is we've got instances right here in Houston County, right in my community, right in Rehoboth. And I'm going to mention a couple of them today that obviously our engineering department and our county road and bridge are overlooking. And I know they have major things to do, so it's easy for them to not see these things. We have 2 trees, and I can tell them, I've got them on my camera right here. 2 trees on, I believe it's Fuller Road, the road that cuts through, that comes out by Cowboys off of 203, that road. There are 2 trees that have been standing. I'm talking about huge pine trees that are hanging over the road, limbs constantly fall every day or two, not with a storm. These are hazards that need to be addressed before somebody gets hurt or killed. And I think every day, Lord, if one of our school buses go by there with kids on it, you know, one of those huge limbs falls through there. And these are things that can be prevented. That's just, a lot of people say, oh, it's trivial stuff. It's not. It's a potential hazard that can be prevented if we just take measures of getting our people out there. We have plenty of labor with our Houston County road and bridge. We see a lot of equipment. We don't see it used a whole lot. They could be out there trimming those trees. And I don't want to hear all this about, oh, well, that's on private property. The trunk of that tree is half on private property, half on the right of way. We need to step up. Our county commission, road and bridge, needs to step up and take that tree out, eliminate that. The next thing is, I'm just going to briefly mention this because I was told by 3 entities that they're looking into this and they have plans. And our engineer, our county engineer, road and bridge, hung up on me on the phone the other day when I was asking that person to come meet with me to look and just discuss some possibilities of safety at Rehoboth Elementary School on Haddon Road. You all, I'm hoping to in with that. And I know, Mr. Harry, you've got me. You live out there. You're our district commission. That didn't start yesterday. It didn't start last year. It started 4 and 5 years ago. But it has gotten to a point now where it is a crisis hazardous situation. Traffic, not only for the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles going in, dropping off students and picking them up. That traffic's lined up from that ballpark going into that thing for a half mile back, crossing 203 and going into the Malvern Highway. And on the other end, east side, going to that daycare and past, bumper to bumper. And I saw that close of a head-on collision about a month ago when I made it my business to go sit there and watch that traffic from 2 o'clock to 3:30. I saw almost a head-on collision at the top of that hill. And they say they were addressing this and they got plans and they've flown drones and all this good stuff. Hey, I asked him, when does it look like we're going to have a plan in place that will at least temporarily put safety on that road out there for the citizens that are traveling, let alone the parents and grandparents that are going in and picking up and dropping off children. When is that going to be? And they're talking about anywhere from 2 to 3 years. Folks, I'm telling you, there's got to be something done. And all I want to do was suggest to the engineer possibly a turning lane from where it goes in there widen that road, turning lane going back to the cemetery, back to 203, that would alleviate a big part of that dangerous situation. And another thing, I brought it to the county engineer's attention, I brought it to the superintendent's attention, I brought it to the mayor of Rehoboth's attention, but it's not there, it's not the superintendent of Houston County Commission, Houston County Board of Education or the town of Rehoboth, it's the Houston County Commission Road and Bridges problem and the state transportation, Department of Transportation. There's no stop sign. When they ride, they made some relief in that by routing that traffic through, and I know, Mr. Chairman, I'm running out of time, but to make the last point, routing that traffic going around through that new parking lot at the baseball field made a big relief. It's helped a lot, okay, but it's still bumper to bumper. But here's the problem. When they're coming out of that ballpark, and I brought this to the county engineer's attention, there's no stop sign, yield sign, and those cars are pulling out there and just going in this direction. I'm sitting there watching, got them on video. And I just suggested we get a stop sign. That's,
Okay, your time's up, so
No
go ahead,
problem.
wrap it up.
yes, sir. I appreciate it, but I just want to emphasize to you, because I'm thinking a lot of you other commissioners aren't aware of this situation out there. I would please ask you to go with your own eyes after school kicks back in between 2 and 3:30 p.m. and see yourself what's going on out there. Somebody is going to have blood on their hands soon, and I'm thinking it's going to be primarily the Houston County Commission Road and Bridge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Got some family? Okay, we will see y'all what day? Correct. Thank you.